Let's talk about Kenny Pickett. This will be the last time I talk about Kenny Pickett until something drastically changed. I am recording this before the New England Patriots game. With that being said, Kenny Pickett is not the right quarterback for the Steelers. I've seen enough. 12 games this season. He did not play all of last season because they decided to bench him for the first half of last season for Mr. Trubisky. He had some solid moments last season. This season has been abysmal. I understand that Matt Canada was terrible, horrible offensive coordinator, but when guys are getting open, Kenny Pickett just didn't see him. I have prime examples of this. You have George Pickens that was wide open against the Baltimore Ravens in the first quarter. He didn't see him. Wide open, takes a sack. Against the Houston Texans, when he hurt his knee, hyperextends his knee, 4th and 1, you have Steelers fans screaming at Matt Canada, why are you calling shotgun on 4th and 1? That was a stupid play, but Najee Harris was wide open on the left side of the field. He just didn't see him at all. On the 2-point conversion against the Baltimore Ravens, Allen Robinson wide open on the left side of the field. He just didn't see him. Sometimes he just goes oblivious to the blitz, and he just zones in on the middle of the field. He also has his nasty habits where he wants to float outside and just try to make crazy plays like how he did against the Baltimore Ravens last season when he threw the ball in back to the red zone to Najee Harris. I will say this. He is capable of making those plays. He's just not consistent with those plays. He tried to make a similar play against the San Francisco 49ers. It went for an interception. Now, Kenny Pickett doesn't throw many interceptions, and he's one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in the NFL because you'll say, well, he doesn't throw that many interceptions. He doesn't take that many risks. He's not that bad of a quarterback. He could be a solid game manager at best. He's not even a good game manager at times because he'll just go out there and overthrow wide receivers when it's a curl route, like how he did against Tennessee Titans, or he will underthrow guys like Calvin Austin III when they're running deep. He doesn't have that arm power that you look for in an NFL quarterback, and he's not a processor either, and he's not good on rhythm throws. They have done that with Kenny Pickett, and you look at what happened against the Cincinnati Bengals in that game. The team was so fearful of the run, they just played off coverage, so he's just dinking and dunking his way down the field. Now, was it a few times he threw Pat Freiermuth open? Yes, it was, but not on a consistent basis. Pat Freiermuth was going out there making a lot of crazy catches because the frame with his body. I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is just 0% unredeemable, that he just is completely trash, but I don't see him being a franchise quarterback with this team. I think that he could be a solid backup in the NFL, and that's what he's been this season. In 12 games, he had 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And he had 2 touchdowns against the Las Vegas Raiders. The last time he threw a touchdown was against the Tennessee Titans on November the 2nd. He hasn't thrown a touchdown since then. As I record this video, it is December the 5th. And the last game this team played was against the Arizona Cardinals. And he got hurt in that game with a high ankle sprain. And this is a guy that's always dealing with some injuries as well. A lot of it is because the interior of the offensive line is weak, but he's also holding on to the football for too long, and he's taking those severe hits. You look at what happened in Los Angeles Rams game. He went out there. He got some rushing touchdowns, but it's because the team was giving him short fields. The defense are going out there. They're getting turnovers. When the defense is able to go out there and get 1 or 2 turnovers a game, it's going to be hard to beat this team because he's not going to take those deep risks down the field. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way. He's going to be that game manager, but at the same time, he's not going to come up when you need him the most. He is one of the worst red zone quarterbacks in the NFL. This team, led underneath Kenny Pickett, is 29th in red zone efficiency when it comes to scoring touchdowns. They have a 42.3% completion rating in the red zone. It's 29th in the NFL. And he is the 31st ranked quarterback in terms of production in the red zone as well. You can say that is on Matt Canada, but even against the Cincinnati Bengals, he cannot get things done in the red zone, and that was without Matt Canada calling plays. You can't blame Matt Canada anymore. He's no longer the offensive coordinator with this team. Did he stunt Kenny Pickett's growth? You can make that argument, but at the same time, this is not a young quarterback. Kenny Pickett is 25 years old. Kenny Pickett is not going to go out there and develop in the next few years like how a 21 or 22-year-old will. You have to keep that in mind as well. He reminds me a lot of Brandon Whedon. He's an older player that's in his sophomore season. So how much more development can you really get out of a guy that is this age? My main concern is this. They bring him back next season as the starter. They retooled the offensive line once again because they still need work on the offensive line, even though Broderick Jones is very good. I like James Daniels as well, but they still need a lot of retool Tillman on the offensive line. They bring him out next season, and this team has the same problems with a brand new offensive coordinator. Then what? Hopefully, Mitch Trubisky will not be on this roster next season because he's not a good option at the quarterback position. But Mitch Trubisky did more in the second half against the Arizona Cardinals than Kenny Pickett has in the last few weeks. And that's not me disrespecting Kenny Pickett in any way. This is me being real. And Mitch Trubisky is a horrible starting quarterback in the NFL. I am seeing other young quarterbacks around the NFL be in worse situations. Look at Sam Howell, the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. The most hit, the most pressure quarterback in the NFL. You may say he has better weapons. He may have a better offensive coordinator. Cool. He has played better this season than Kenny Pickett. Will Levis is a rookie. He outplayed Kenny Pickett Thursday night a couple weeks ago in that game on a short week. And he's also had better games this season than Kenny Pickett has in his career. The last time that Kenny Pickett had a 300-yard passing game was against the Buffalo Bills last season. And they lost that game 38-3. So a lot of the passing yards came in garbage time. And they still were not able to score a touchdown in that game when they put backups in the game. Yes, he did good in the preseason, and I will go out there and I will take the hit for this. I thought he was going to come out this season and look very good because of some things he did in the preseason. Because he did ball out against some of the starters in the preseason, but as soon as they went against the San Francisco 49ers, overthrows, getting sacked in the pocket, running himself into sacks, not having the pocket awareness. He's just not a good NFL quarterback at this level. Hopefully the Steelers can go out in the offseason in the NFL draft, get a veteran quarterback, or go out there and draft a guy that can be a consistent starter with this team and they can just hit and connect with the wide receivers. You may say, hey, you're giving up on Kenny Pickett too early. Realize this. The times have changed. This is not 15, 20 years ago to when those quarterbacks at the time, they went through hell when they first entered the league. They did not have the same resources that these quarterbacks have. Look at the names I just mentioned before. Sam Howell, Will Levis, even Jake Browning has had better performances than Kenny Pickett. And Jake Browning is an undrafted guy. Yes, he has better weapons than what the Steelers have. But let's not act like this team does not have good weapons. George Pickens is a very good wide receiver. Deontay Johnson, yes, he has his drops, his concentration issues, but he's a very good wide receiver. He has broken over 1,000 yards once in his career. George Pickens had over 800 yards receiving last season. And he's one of those guys that should be having 1,000 yards every single year because of how good he is with his skill set. Pat Freiermuth can be a top-tier tight end in the NFL if you give him the football. Had 7 touchdowns in his rookie season in the last year with Big Ben. And this team has a strong run game with Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. I also want to say this as well. You're dealing with a brand new general manager. The guy that drafted Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, and all those guys, he's no longer with this team. You have Omar Khan right now. He doesn't have allegiance with Kenny Pickett, so maybe he'll go out and try to see if they can get a brand new quarterback that Mike Tomlin can ride with, but we will see. But I do want to say this. Drafting Najee Harris was a horrible decision. Not because he's a bad player. I want you guys to really listen to this. Not because he's a bad player. Running backs in the first round are a luxury pick. This team had no business drafting a running back in the first round. They should have drafted an offensive lineman. Particularly Tyler Linderbaum, because Mason Cole is not a good center in the NFL. He's terrible. Najee Harris would be better on another team. He's splitting carries with Jaylen Warren. You could have drafted a center in the first round and drafted a running back in the later rounds. You could have got similar production. Najee Harris doesn't have the same juice and the same explosiveness as Jaylen Warren, and that's why Jaylen Warren gets more touches than Najee Harris at times. Not saying he's a bad player. They just did not need to go out there and draft a running back in the first round, especially when you're dealing with a quarterback that was on his last leg with Big Ben. But let me know in the comment section below, am I giving up on Kenny Pickett too soon, or am I on the right path with this? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.